Boy, do I have a great video for you today. It's about two different topics. The first is why everything changes in retirement at age 59. And it's not just because you can access your IRAs. And the second topic is what are the various ages in addition to 59 that are important in your journey to retirement and in retirement. So let's jump in. I found a really great article. It's by Charles Schwab. It's called The Most Important Ages of Retirement. It's probably the best article I've ever found on this topic, and I've been doing this for over 20 years. Okay, the first age is at age 50. And the Schwab article says you can start making catch-up contributions to a company retirement plan or IRA. And specifically, you need to know that in 2025, most workers can contribute $23,500 to a qualified retirement savings plan like a 401k, a 403b, or a 457. And while workers age 50 and older are also able to do a catch-up contribution of $7,500 for a total of $31,000. And for the first time, for people that are aged 60 to 63, will be able to make a larger catch-up contribution of $11,250 instead of that $7,500 for a total of $34,750. That's a very generous opening there. Okay, the next age is ages 50 to 60. Now, we're going to hone in on 59 here pretty soon, but age 50 to 60, they say that people may qualify for potential retiree benefits from a work based on age, from age and time in service. In other words, if you've been working for your company for 20, 30 years and you're somewhere between age 50 and 60, Schwab is saying sometimes if you have a pension at work, you might be able to access that. You might qualify for that. And if you have military service, it's after 20 years. So you might even be younger than that, right? Some people qualify for that. You know, if you enlisted at 18, at 38 years old, you would qualify for that. Okay. At age 55, Schwab says you can make catch-up contributions to a health savings account. I'm a big fan of health savings accounts. You put your money in pre-tax dollars. It grows tax-free. And if you use it for qualified medical expenses, you take it out tax-free. It's the only, what I call retirement account. It's the only account that I know that you get all three of those. Typically, you only get two out of three of those. You either put the money in tax-free or you put it in after tax. Then it grows tax-free. And then depending on how you put the money in, you might be able to take it out tax-free or you might not. That's the Roth versus a regular account. Okay, so I am a fan of health savings accounts. Making good decisions regarding Medicare is critical, which is why I'm proud to partner with this video sponsor, Chapter. They're a Medicare advisor, and they provide free Medicare advice to people like you and I, either when we're first enrolling in Medicare or during the annual open enrollment period. And making good decisions begins first with having access to good and accurate data. And I met with the team at Chapter. I met with the founder and CEO, and they talked to me about how some of the data in the Medicare database is not as up to date as you and I would think it should be. And so they started with the data, making sure they had access to clean data. And the second thing they did was focus on culture to really instill in their team to focus on the needs of the client first, as opposed to the commissions from the insurance companies whose products that they represent. So both of those things is critically important, which is why I agreed to partner with them. You can find out more about Chapter at this phone number here by scanning the QR code or by looking in the description for the link. They are a sponsor that is an affiliate link, and if you click on that link, you'll be supporting the channel. So thank you, Chapter, for sponsoring this video, and thank you for everybody that considers reaching out to Chapter for supporting the channel. Schwab says in 2025, the HSA contribution limits are $4,300 for self-only coverage and $8,550 for family coverage. And this is the catch-up contribution. At 55 or older, you can make an extra contribution of $1,000 a year. Okay, remember, you have to have a high deductible healthcare plan in order to fund a health savings account. So if you have one, that's something to think about. Okay, also at age 55, Schwab reminds us that if you retire early, you could be exempt from the 10% penalty on early retirement account withdrawals. Now, the important thing is could be. Here's what they say. If you leave your job during or after the year you turn 55, you can withdraw money directly from a qualified employer-sponsored retirement plan, such as a 401k or 403b, without penalty. Now, I believe it's just the account from your current employer, the employer that you retired from. So it's important to look into that. A quick search on the IRS website will give you that, but I'm fairly confident that it only applies to your current employer that you are leaving in order to retire, that you can take that money out. So that's why I'm stressing the could. You want to do this the right way. Okay. Also, Schwab goes on to say for that same role, if you're a qualified public safety employee, such as law enforcement officer, private or public sector firefighter, or an air traffic controller, instead of having to wait to 55, Schwab says that you can do it at age 50. Okay, now we're going to talk about age 59, specifically age 59 and a half. I'm going to share with you what Schwab says, but I'm going to go deeper on why 59 is such an important age. But then we're going to come back to the Schwab article because it's so good and it has so much important information, not just about 59, but about 60, 62, 65, 66, 67. It just goes on and on. It's a great, great article. So stick with me after this. But why is 59 or 59 and a half so important? Okay, Schwab says, generally, the 10% early withdrawal penalty no longer applies to IRA or qualified retirement plans. They're talking about things like 401ks. If you have a significant tax-deferred savings, you may, and the emphasis is mine, you may want to consider drawing them down in combination with your taxable accounts as early as possible. And they're saying that because if you don't start taking money out of these accounts, the non-Roth versions of them, the accounts that are subject to required minimum distributions for most of us, age 73, that can add up pretty quickly when you're looking at the money coming out because of required minimum distributions, when you're looking at Social Security, when you might be looking at any other sources of income or capital gains that you have coming in, or ordinary interest from bonds and things like that. People can be surprised at how high their taxes can go. And the United States has 7 tax brackets. It starts off at 10 and 12%, but then it jumps to 22%. There is no 14, 16, 18, 20% bracket. It goes from 12 to 22%. So tax planning is really important. Schwab's thing here is just reminding you that think about where you want to be when required minimum distributions come out, because it can make a big difference for taxes. Okay, now let me emphasize why I think, in addition to what Schwab said, why I think the age 59 is really important. First, unfortunately, our health is not going to last forever. And most of us at 59 years old, unfortunately, are going to have less than 1,000 weeks of healthy active time. I call that period from the time that you retire to the time that, unfortunately, at some point, we're all going to lose our health. Until we lose our health, I call that time the youth of your senior years. And I want to see you squeeze all the juice, get all the enjoyment out of that period of time, because unfortunately, once it's gone at this age, it's probably gone for life. So we need to take full advantage of this. And some people would say, hey, Azul, that's a downer to share that with with us. And B, they're not sure that they believe that they have less than 1,000 weeks. So let me share with you this data by the World Health Organization that shares what our healthy life expectancy is. And, if we lived in Southeast Asia, in Japan, Singapore, Korea, places like that, we'd almost have till age 75 where we would stay healthy. And then Switzerland, Cyprus, Israel, Spain, really France, Iceland, Italy, they have till, basically 72 to 73 until the average person loses their health. But guess what it is for an American? Unfortunately, it's just 66.1 years old. That is 13 months after when the average American male retires at 65. That's not a lot of time. And I think most people want more healthy, active time in retirement than 13 months. And this is not just a World Health Organization. Recently, Stanford Medicine released a research report. In it, they say that time marches on predictably, but biological aging is anything but constant. And what did the report show? This article from the Washington Post tells us, feeling old, your molecules change rapidly around the age of 44 and 60. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. I remember in my mid-40s, I entered my 40s feeling like I was still 20. And by my mid-40s, I felt like I was 30 or 40. And I just recently turned 60, and I can tell you, I do feel it. So what this report says is we don't age linearly. It's not like each year we age a year. There's periods of time where we don't age much, even though from a calendar standpoint, a year's gone by. But unfortunately, there's also periods of time where we age more rapidly. So just because you're 50 and you're feeling pretty good does not mean you're going to feel great when you're 70. Right? There's that rapid aging that takes place at 60. So 59 is really an important time, I think, if you haven't retired already, to think about, do you really want to go to 65? Or, should you think about leaving some chips on the table, leaving some money on the table, and saying, I want to be healthy. I want to enjoy my retirement. And I want to be able to invest extra time and effort into staying healthy and being healthy as long as we can, right? We have so much pressure on our shoulders. I retired about 9 months ago, and I did not think I had a lot of pressure in my life. It was only until after I left that I realized, you know what? I really did have a lot of pressure in my life. And as I got older, it was harder to handle that pressure. Okay, enough said on that. I want to go back to the Schwab report because they've got some excellent points here. At age 60, what kicks in? At age 60, a surviving spouse becomes eligible for Social Security benefits. You can look that up at the Social Security website, ssa.gov. At age 62, that's the earliest we can file for Social Security. At age 65, they remind us that we become eligible for Medicare. I don't think anybody needs to remind us, but I do want to stress this. Medicare has specific enrollment periods, and if you miss them, you could be hit with late enrollment penalties, and those stay with you for life. That's not just a one-time thing. That means you're paying higher premiums for the rest of your life on Medicare. You probably don't want, you don't want to trigger that if you can avoid it. So you want to, none of this is financial advice. I just want to put it on your radar screen so you're aware of these issues. Okay, at age 65, the 20% penalty on non-qualified HSA distributions, we talked about health savings accounts earlier, the 20% penalty on non-qualified HSA distributions no longer apply. If you spend it for non-qualified, it's still going to count as ordinary income, but you're not going to have that really painful additional 20% penalty. Okay, ages 66 to 67, you become eligible for full retirement age benefits on Social Security. That's called FRA, full retirement age. And after our full retirement age, for every year that we don't take Social Security, our benefits increase by 8% a year until we turn 70. So if you wait till 70, you're going to have almost a fourth more. You're going to have 24% more in your paycheck, and not paycheck, your benefits sent by Social Security. You're going to have 24% more because you'll have 3 years from, assuming 67. So from 67 to 70, your monthly benefit will increase by 8% a year. Now, importantly, after age 70, it does not increase anymore. So there's no reason to wait after age 70. Go ahead and take it for your maximum benefit. And at 70 and a half, you become eligible to make what's called qualified charitable donations from IRAs. Now, why is that important? It's important because once we reach, for most of us, age 73, our required minimum distributions are going to begin. And if we do this qualified charitable donation directly from the IRA, let's see what Schwab says. In 2025, you can give up to $108,000 indexed for inflation directly from your IRA to a qualified tax-deductible charity. And if you do this, it does not count as ordinary income for you. And once you reach the age when RMDs kick in, a qualified charitable donation can also be used to satisfy all or a portion of your required minimum distribution. So that can be super powerful. Making good decisions is super powerful. And if you enjoy this video, if you enjoy watching my videos to help you make the right decisions for you, the YouTube algorithm says this video here of mine next is the next best video for you to watch it. Thanks for watching this one. I'll see you in this one. Bye-bye.